What's up, creepers and geekers? Chris the Atari Creep. How's everyone doing today? Let me make sure I'm even streaming. Okay. What's up? I didn't mean to click on it. Sorry about that if you saw the initial stream. And jumped into that at all. It had the wrong thumbnail, and I don't know what. I set it up all goofy. Let me fix this. I mean, I guess in a way I'm kind of dreaming that you can see the guitar in my hand. Yeah, something like that. How's everyone doing today, man? Hopefully we'll get some people in here. That'd be nice. Be nice to have a nice chat this afternoon. I was gonna play games, but I wasn't in the mood to play any. I was actually in the mood to play. What is that Activision game? Laser something or other. Activision. Yeah, Laser Blast. I was going to say Blaster, but Laser Blast. Because game's fucking hard. To me, anyway, it's hard. And it's like one of those things where it's like it looks fun, but repetitive. But I'd like to learn the skill of playing it. So I'm not going to call it like a new series, but maybe I'll make that video later on or tomorrow. Just playing that one game and make it more of a, let's try to get good at kind of a situation. Again, not trying to make a series or anything, because we all know how that fucking goes. Jet, what's going on, buddy? What's going on? I hope you weren't fooled by the initial stream. I hit the button by accident before finished setting everything up. I'm stupid that way. So I rushed real quick to get the new stream up and going, and yeah, that's that. I'm organizing my shit in my apartment. Right on. For fun? Or is it something you have to do that's not so fucking fun? Where are my glasses? Since I'm doing an actual just chat, I'm not playing any games. I didn't even bring the controller in here, so I don't think we'll be playing games. I don't know, we'll see. Oh, okay, cool. You didn't see the first one. Hopefully nobody really got an alert on it, because I went into the studio and just deleted it. As soon as I shut it off, I went in and deleted it and then set up the stream. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened. How I figured it out was I got the email. I got up to do something. I think I got up to turn the amp on. It was on standby after the tubes were nice and warm, And I went to get the guitar, and I heard my phone go dee-doo-doo-doo. So I looked at it real quick, and I'm like, I'm live? Oh, no! Oh, my God. But, yeah, I don't have any topics in particular to talk about. If anyone wants to chime in about anything. It doesn't have to be games. It could be toys. It could be art. It could be, who I think of all your sisters who kisses the best. That kind of a thing. Can you hear me as well as the guitar? Let me know how the sounds are. The microphone is just like, it's like in between the two of us. The amp is facing me, like right here. Right next to a lamp I'm trying to finish. Look at this. He's on fire! It's a fucking lamp. Look at that ass. Huh? You'd hit it. I know you would. I gotta wire this thing up. So, maybe I should have just done that. Finish this too. Oh, it doesn't come across. It looks like flesh with veins and stuff underneath it and eyeballs, and it's pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I'm in a studio apartment. Oh, man. Studio apartments can be fun, but sometimes they can be cramped if you're like me anyway. And you fucking collect shit left and right for no reason. I got to go through all these boxes. And I for like the last year and a half, I've been talking about getting rid of a lot of stuff. And I don't. I start to, and then I stop, and then I collect more stuff, and it fucking deletes the whole thing right out. But I really want to get rid of a lot of this stuff. I got all these boxes over here, right, from Fan Home. I subscribed to I think it was a 1/6 or 1/8 scale Knight Rider kit car. Kit. I hate saying that because it's a kit to build, but kit from Knight Rider. How about that? And I only got 33 issues in before I had to stop because I don't really have the expendable income for the $65 every month. Because if you're overseas, you get one a week, But since it's kind of like you have to pay by the month and they ship them all at once. I would have rather just done the once a week and start building it. But I got a ton of those boxes underneath Alucard's tank with this big open space that used to be storage for paint. What I have Alucard, my snake, on is actually an old display from a paint called Flair. They're what they call chalk paint. If you think about like early Americana, real chalky looking paint, very muted colors. That's what they sold, and I have a bunch over here. As a matter of fact, I gotta stop playing with. But I got a whole bunch of those, and I want to go through them to get the freebies out of it because over time you got freebies, right? I know there's a Knight Rider watch in there, a watch that really works, and apparently you can talk into it. I don't know if it's a smart watch. I doubt it. But there's supposed to be a die-cast car in there, T-shirts, power banks, stuff like that. So every couple of issues you get something that either goes like a special tool for your next steps, or you'll get the watch, or a die-cast version of stuff. I literally just repeated myself, but that's how they work. And I had to stop it, and I'm sure I can pick it up again. And it's weird. I didn't start building it because I like I said, I like that idea of getting it week at a time and just building it and then putting the pieces aside. It takes you like 20 minutes and you get it done, and now you're eager for the next week. It just kept coming every month, and I was just like, I'll get to this eventually then. And now I got a whole bunch of parts to kit that will never complete one. I believe at the end you got this giant case to put it in too. Yeah, it is what it is, So I'd like to go through that and either work on it and put it on the shelf as as an example of my inabilities to follow through with a lot of things. But yeah, it is what it is. Oh, hey, what's up, Alex? Dad ass. Absolutely, man. I love slapping it. I slap it every time I walk by. Jess says that's cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I was thinking about getting a couple railroad spikes and a styrofoam head and a wood base to spike through the head for my VR. Oh! Are you going to make it, or do you need a prop master to make one for you? Because I'm available, and since I don't have a lot of people knocking on my door, I could be pretty cheap. So, I mean, if it comes down to you not wanting to do it, I could use a job. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hell, I would do it in trade for something, actually. I would do it in trade. If you had, like, say, 2,600 plus, that you're like, okay, I have it, and I don't want it. I'll trade for that or something like that. I'll make you a fucking rad one. I'll make the thing look like it went to hell, and it's coming back to warn you. But, yeah, no, that's cool, man. That's a great fucking idea. As a matter of fact, my headphones that I have for when I'm just listening here and I don't want to hear everybody else. I've actually had it around the neck, because this is over here reminding me I got to find the cord to wire it up. Excuse me. But I've been getting into making a lot of physical things again, and I love it. I love it like this, and I wish you could see the actual colors. This camera sucks. There is an app that you can use this through OBS. I just haven't done it through like a virtual camera thing. I'm going to do it, and this will be my secondary camera, or it might even be my primary because it looks better, so that I can show you things like this. I'll get to that as soon as I can, though. Maybe I'll do it tonight. I don't know, but I've been making a lot of physical things. I made this weird. If you look at the thumbnail of the video I posted yesterday about my custom action figures, I made this weird alien artifact thing. It's organic and mechanical. Looks like mechanical bugs in a stone It's pretty cool. I made one of those, whatever the fuck that is. I've been wanting to work physically for a long time, not so much paint and brush anymore. Or I should say not anymore, but for right now, because you know what? In a couple of months from now, I may go on another painting spree. You never know. But I'm pretty excited about that. I've been getting some gory things together. And maybe sometime this summer I'll find somewhere to set up a table, you know, the Million Macabre. Trust nothing. The controllers on each side. Oh, okay, yeah. Hey, let me ask you guys a question. For any of you modern gamers, you kooky cats. There was, I don't know if it's considered VR or what, but there was a lightsaber game, and it came with Luke Skywalker from A New Hope style. Don't correct me. No, the Switch is wrong. That's the one from the Empire 3. Shut up. Fuck you, I don't care. And it just had like this little thing sticking out, but it was nice quality. But apparently they shut that server down or something, so they're useless. If anyone has one of those and they're willing to hook me up with that lightsaber hilt for a project, I want to turn it into an actual functioning lightsaber. Obviously not one that can cut, you know, a toy. I'm fucking Luke Skywalker. I'll probably be a prick and put a green blade on it. I'd be like, look at my Luke saber! And then I'll fire it up, and every fucking Exacto nerd would lose their shit and start. But yeah, I've been watching the prices of those going down, and I'm praying to God I can get one soon enough before the collectors, the Star Wars prop collectors, get their little fucking hands on it. Because once that happens, they're gonna fucking triple in value. I shouldn't have said that. Now you're gonna hang on to it, you cocksuckers. I'll even take one that didn't work, because again, I'm gonna hollow it out and make it make sounds and do the lights eventually. So yeah, no, that's cool, man. Controllers on either side. Alan, what's going on, bud? Movie popcorn, a couple of stars. The reunion movie where they have to rebuild kit. Oh yeah. From leftover car parts of different parts. Was that a movie, or are we hoping for one, or are you saying that there is one on the works? Because I'm not familiar with whatever that is. That sounds fucking cool, actually. Actually, that sounds sinister. They can make a horror flick that way. You know, you're rebuilding kit, but kind of like the Frankenstein's monster. There's something that just didn't translate in the recreation of the being. And it goes on a rampage and it marries Christine, and they have like little baby fucking EV evil cars. Hollywood's fucking creatively bankrupt. I'm not, as far as stories are going. So any douchebag from Hollywood that wants, you know, a real fresh mind, and not, you know, calculated fucking focus group minded numbers. How can you go into anything creative like that? I understand it's a money game, but it's like, you have to know that those numbers don't mean shit when it comes to creativity. There are movies that people just, like Star Wars itself. The crew over fucking seas over there in London. They didn't give two fucks, and they made George's life a living hell. And then Star Wars became what it was, and they were like, fuck you fucking Brits. I'm Irish. I'm not supposed to like the British, but I have no problem with them. Hey, if you could do that, that would be cool, Jess says. Yeah, it'd be fun. Just another project to put on the shelf that I may never ever get to, you know. But it would be cool to have on the shelf with my other... I do have a small lightsaber hilt collection. I have a couple that do light up and everything, make noise and the clash sounds, but nothing crazier than Galaxy's Edge Legacy sabers. I have a Vader, and I have the Darksaber. I also have one from Savi's Workshop, I think it was called, where you built the lightsaber and this whole story happens around you. It really is a wonderful... It really, I think it's worth the $240 I paid for it. You get the lightsaber, you get to decide how it looks. I mean, within, the choices you have for that specific style. There's 4 different styles. There's like a dark side, a light side, an ancient, early like Jedi thing, and then there's elemental nature or something like that. And that's the one I chose. Element's got like a tooth hanging out the back, and part of the grip is bone. It's not really bone. You can choose your own kyber crystal. Close your eyes, and soon we're going to walk around with kyber crystals. And while your eyes are closed, they disappear, and they pull these things out of the wall that you didn't see, and they're all lit up. And it really is. Yoda comes after a while, and he's like, oh, build a lightsaber you have. Light your way it can, but not make your decisions, or something stupid like that, But it gives you the goose pimples. It's a great experience. Once. I might do it again eventually, but... So I have that, and I got a ton of 3D printed. Sorry. A bunch of 3D printed hilts that I've made. But yeah, I would love to put that with the Darth Vader one I have. I have an aluminum billet turned Luke from Return of the Jedi, his green saber. But it's literally just a hunk of aluminum that was lathed in the shape. And the only thing that's separate is the battery box or the ignition switch. And I had to buy the chip or the connection board for that piece there, because when I got it, didn't have it. It was a birthday present to myself about 4 or 5 years ago. I think I paid $40 for it. I do have that one too. That fucker's heavy. I also had to put a clip ring on it too. But can you make it look like Tom Savini? Probably not. I'm good at making things that don't already exist. If you said, can you make it look like a zombie, or could you make it look like a demon, or just a generic monster? I could come up with something really cool that way. But if you ask me to like sculpt or draw or try to paint, like, say, somebody specific, I don't have that kind of talent. I'm an abstract kind of artist, I could get you somewhat close with a lot of things physical, like weapons and props and all kinds of stuff. And if you follow my old Millie McCaw playlist, which is going to be coming back, I promise you that. You'll see that. You'll see that it's. I'm gonna toot my horn here. It's good in its creation. Some better than others, obviously. But I'm not really good at exacting replicas of anything or likenesses or anything like that. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. If I could do that, that probably would have cost you a little bit more than what I would be willing to pay for it anyway. Because now you're talking about time sculpting and making sure everything in pictures. And if you wanted me to make a fucking monster, I could just get a head and just start putting stuff all over it. And it would be safe to handle and everything, But I could use like just air dry clay, and then I could skin it with Viva paper towels. That's very common, actually. What they call corpsing or skinning something, because you can't fuck that up. And you get a lot of really great results fast and cheap doing that. Some people even put like a plastic bag over the form, and they use heat to shrink it down, and it gives these little sinews and holes and stuff in the skin when you get paint over it. I think that always looks plasticky. So I don't go that route. They can look good, but you can definitely tell. You can definitely tell it's plastic, no matter how well it's been finished. And when you go into a haunted house and you see those corpses that, and more times than not, they end up making them look charred because of the way the form ends up looking. But everything just seems so taut, so shrunk. There's no organic life to it, and it doesn't look like there's any movement, meaning, like it's all like this. None of it's kind of like over here, it's a little fresher than over here, and there are differences in degree of rot depending on how you're laying and all that stuff. You really got to think about stupid shit like that, but if you just use plastic and it just sucks to the form, whereas if I'm hand laying, with glue or latex, some kind of a paper towel or cloth, I'm in control of how deep or how not deep it goes into the rib cage versus how much goes over here. Should the bone be exposed a little bit more over here, you know? With the bag, you get what you get, and it looks like, I'm not going to say shit, but it's like 50, it's 50-50. You know, it has its place. And especially if you want to do a room where a bunch of people burn to death. There you go. Just get a bunch of cheap skeletons, put plastic Dollar Tree bags over it, and hit it with a heat gun, and then prime, paint, and you can't fuck up corpses. You really can't. You really can't. You can paint them purple with pink polka dots, and they would still look awesome. They would still look awesome. All right, Alex says, I would because I'm lazy. Refresh my memory on what you're responding to there, buddy. I'm sorry. I just fucking yapped. It's called Knight Rider 2000, starring David Hasselhoff. Have I ever seen that? I'll have to be honest with you, though. I loved Knight Rider, and I did watch it. I did watch it a lot. But I remember when the initial teaser came out, and if you remember correctly, it was in the desert, and they had that stupid red, orange, dark filter on it, everything, you know? And then General Lee is just fucking sitting there, and then you see this dust cloud coming from a distance or something like that. And they're just like, Knight Rider! Fuck this orange car! I always resented that, and I understood that they were two separate things. I think the General Lee is a better car. I'm not a huge fan of, like, 80s muscle, if you'll want to call it that. That style of Camaro, Pontiac Firebird, or whatever, Trans Am. I did own an 84 Camaro in Arizona, and that was a fun car, but I'll take a 70s and 60s muscle car before I'll take anything from the 80s. I love G-bodies. All right, I'll change my... I'll kind of shift there. I love G-bodies. Your Monte Carlos, your Cutlasses, El Caminos. Oh, my God, I love El Caminos. Knight Rider 2000. Knight Rider 2000.
Here is some information about Knight Rider.
Oh, no. If that red car is what Kit becomes, I will be a snob. No, you know what? I'll watch it. 1991. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. It was my first couple of years in high school, and a lot of things got pushed aside, including a lot of gaming stuff, you know? I mean, I did get a Genesis, but... remakes are awful. They always make them woke. Yeah, no, every now and again you get a gem for a remake, Spider-Rico. What's up, man? Thanks for coming in again. Or I should say, you know what I mean, because I'm just now seeing you. I'm a little under the weather today, so please pay me no mind. No, I haven't smoked at all today. This congestion, almost cold thing's been floating around. You know, my therapist had it. Yeah, I see a therapist every Wednesday. My lady had it all last week, and now I have it. Basically, it makes you sound like you're sick. It makes you kind of feel like you're sick and congests you. But you're not sick, and it's not allergies. So, apparently it's fucking making the rounds. So, my apologies. Now that I see you, thanks for coming in, Spider-Rico. I've been seeing a lot of posts lately about people who want to build a non-woke studio. And, of course, like Mel Gibson's in there, and Don Wahlberg. Oh, no, Marky Mark. And a whole bunch of others. I don't know if they're April Fool's things that are still floating around, but like new names keep getting added to it. And I'm legit hoping that happens. Not because I don't like woke. I don't like woke. I think it's stupidity at its finest. I have no problem with fucking treating people with humanity and kindness and all that. I believe everyone, regardless of whatever, unless you're victimizing children or something like that, you deserve to be treated like a respected human fucking being. But it's like there are just some IPs out there that it just doesn't translate, and it's needless. If the studios want to make their woke stuff, that's fine, you know, as long as the non-woke stuff is allowed to happen, and that's the thing, you know. We talked a couple of weeks ago about my feelings on the whole community of LGBTQ. I don't remember them all. No disrespect intended. What was I going to say there? It's when it becomes the entire personality of either the individual or the work of art, yeah, there's art, but you know what I mean, like Star Wars. What the fuck do you need woke shit in Star Wars for? You hear what I'm saying? I don't mind having like a gay character, but don't make it a thing. Just make it part of the universe. Don't even pay. Don't focus on it because it's like a fucking red beacon. It's almost disrespectful, and I'm okay with that in the movie as long as it's not like, hey, look, they're gay. That guy's open-minded. Hey, our cast looks like a fucking brochure at your local college. Don't make it about that. If you have a movie that has a message in that, by all means, do whatever you got to do in that. But that's where it's warranted. It's just, I don't understand why people get so... They get the need to fucking just implant stuff that just doesn't belong anywhere. And I think the majority of fans aren't upset because of the content itself or the idea of it. Yeah, there are people who are hateful about it, and there are people who don't agree with it. And I know there's a handful of people that are glad that they're being represented, but no, fuck off. Don't be where you don't belong. I'm not going to go where I don't belong. It's just like, you don't need that. But I also say to the idiots that say, like, the prequels ruined Star Wars, or the sequel trilogy ruined Star Wars, or anything the like. It's not just Star Wars. To this I say, fuck you, you're simple-minded and you're stupid. The prequels did not change the original sequel at all, unless you want to continue that storyline in your head. You don't have to watch A New Hope, I just call it Star Wars, with all that in your mind. You can watch it as what was intended to be its own. I know George had this big plan, but they never thought it would go further. So in its creation, it was built to be its own story for the most part, with the hopes of continuing the saga in both directions. You can still watch that and ignore everything else. Just because they retconned metachlorians into some stupid bloodborne bullshit over here doesn't mean it ruined Obi-Wan's speech about penetrating fields and people fucking surroundings and this and that and whatever Yoda had to say. It's between all of us, land, ship, all that crap. It doesn't change any of that. It's really about you. It's about what you bring into the experience, your mindset, and what you're... So, even if they do make a woke Star Wars, it doesn't ruin Star Wars. That movie itself was either ruined or maybe it's a great flick, but you know what I'm saying. You can't judge an entire series because of a couple of fucking bad apples, man. The Empire Strikes Back will always be one of the top 5 greatest movies of all time. Regardless of how woke or not woke, good or bad, any sequels or prequels. It's just a reality of it, and I think it's just people wanting to fucking be little cunts. a bunch of slack-jawed yokels. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm not against woke. I just don't think it should be implanted everywhere. I get it. People want to be represented. And whether you agree with their lifestyle or not, you have your fight and your battles. I have mine that I choose to die on certain hills for. I don't know. It's stupid. If it was just part of just non-focused life. Just like, in the background there's a dude getting a fucking fork in a restaurant. These two people are talking. Some guy behind him is refilling his soda. Like that. You see the guy doing it. He's making a soda for him, or pouring a soda for himself, and he's going to go back to the thing. It's life. Same if a couple of trans individuals walked by. Maybe they stop behind him and have a fake conversation. And one is complimenting the dude on his new set of tits. I don't know. But don't make it all about that. It's not all about that. Watching while I scan stuff at work. Well, God be with you, Cheryl. I don't like it when they made the Camaro a hatchback. I never looked at it that way, honestly. That's interesting that you said that, because I never looked at it that way. Because don't get me wrong, I do like me an '87 IROC. Yeah, blue. But or even an RS, There was this chick that I used to hang out with. Actually, she was a friend of my singer's girlfriend, eventual wife and ex-wife, and she had a teal colored RS that was really nice. But yeah, I never looked. That's interesting. I'm gonna go through the history of Camaros. I mean, I can see them in my head, but I'm gonna put them side by side, and that's an interesting point, Jet. Wow. Alan says, I gotta celebrate my mother's birthday. Well, happy birthday to Mom. Alan, thanks for coming in anyway, man. I really appreciate that. J-Rob, what's going on, man? I'm doing well. I'm a little under the weather, but, I'm on this side of the ground, so it's got to be a fucking good day, right? Atari, LOL, my bad. Atari, my bad. What are you talking about? Did you say something over here? Hiya. Oh, you didn't put the T in there. I wouldn't have fucking noticed. I don't care. I knew who you were talking to, man. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. I think I'm aging out of today's entertainment, and that happens. I don't listen to new music, and not because I don't like it, but because I don't know. I don't have that in me anymore. Remember when we were kids? I don't know if you were into the metal scene or not, but there was always one or two record stores that everything in that area surrounded around. That's where you got your info. That's where you got your imports bootlegs. That's where you got your T-shirts and the new releases and the demos. Fucking demos from the West Coast used to come to this little place in Malden. I can't remember the name of it. I want to say it had something to do with like Music Paradise or something weird like that, And there was a place in Boston that's actually pretty famous. It was called Stairway to Heaven, but you had to go down into the basement. And they were one of those shops that sold like actual photographs, of bands that when they came, someone shot a bunch of pictures and gave them a negative, and he'd have a stack of the pictures made. You could buy them for $1 a piece or something like that. I had a whole bunch of those. I used to get my concert shirts there all the time for, most people went to like Sears and the mall to go school shop, and I went to fucking Stairway to Heaven and got me Slayer and King Diamond fucking shirts. Absolutely. But I just don't have that in me anymore. Not even for I guess some movies. Because I'm not really in any music scenes online. I'm part of a very small guitar thing, and it's just more of I watch the videos and I comment and have dialogue once in a while with people. And my Creepy Crawl vlog has become a pseudo guitar channel somehow. I'm here right now with it, but I don't really new music. I mean, people be like, "Oh man, that Mr. Smith on the guitar, such a great," and I'm like, he's been around like 8 years, bro. The chicks go gaga, and he's really good. So I'll look him up, and I'm like, yeah, he's really good. Just can't get into it. I just don't get excited about new music. It's crazy. All right, so Jet continues to go on to say, I grew up with the 79 Berlinetta with a small block 8. Nice. 305 or 350 or Berlinetta. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I'm sure I know the car. I know it. And I'm probably not even saying that correctly. Let me look up your exact car. 79. Oh, the Camaro. Okay. It was a trim of the Camaro. I thought I recognized it. I gotcha. Yeah, we had this young lady that I went to high school with. Her name's Jen. She had one of those in high school. And I remember when she got her new stereo, she's like, Chris, get in the passenger seat and lay back. Let's listen to some Pink Floyd. Man, in elementary school, I had the biggest crush on her. She was technically my first date. We basically, we lived right around the corner from each other, and her mom shares the same birthday as mine. It's hard to describe. This is like this area where there's a church, and there's a ball field, and then like a little mini woods area where we used to do BMX bikes. But then there was a hole in the fence behind that went to this place called Mount Hood, which is a golf course now. We've been there a few times. If you've ever seen the Mount Hood Tower, I've spoken about it here. I've spoken about it on my vlog channel. But her and I remember little kids, and I had my Pac-Man scratch-off cards. They'll give you an idea. My Donkey Kong ones, and I let her scratch off half of them. But I remember it was cute. We were walking, holding hands the whole time. I was too afraid to make the kiss move, you know. I don't think we were 4th grade, maybe 5th grade. But come to think of it, we had this janitor that was closer to my brother's age, and they're quite a bit older than I am. And I remember him saying, "Are you two going out?" And mind you, I'm in 6th grade at this point. I said, "No, I don't. No, we're not. We just hang out." And he goes, "Man, hang on to that. That's going to be a piece when she gets older." And at the time, I was like, "Yay, I'm doing good." And now looking back at it, what a fucking pervert. I wonder if he still works for the city, because I know he did when I first moved back, because he was working, I think, the Lincoln Elementary School here in Melrose. I don't think he meant it how it sounded, and of course it was a different time. But looking back, that should have been fucking questioned. Oh my god. Jet Screamer, that's a nice looking car. I dig that body style, absolutely. The hatchback type does improve the aerodynamics, yeah. And it kind of gives it that almost boat back look, almost. But that's pretty cool. Not Newberry Comics? No. They were after, and they were more, well, comics and pop culture. Newberry Comics is more of a pop culture store that follows trends within like sub-communities, so to speak, alternative communities. And again, I don't mean like gay or anything like that. Counterculture. I think that's the words I was looking for. But no, these were like little shops owned by some guy named Jim or whatever, that just had their finger on the metal pulse. Heavy metal was communicated through photocopied magazines. You know, literally, they would type it up and then photocopy them, and they would go all over the place. One I used to get all the time was called Metal Mania, and it was from California. And it literally was like 4 or 5 pieces of Xerox paper folded up and put into an envelope and sent to me with a couple of stamps, you know. But they were the finger on the pulse for stuff like that. You know, new thrash metal bands coming out. I found out about Creator through them. I found out about Forbidden. Oh my god, when Forbidden's first album came out, what was that album called? It had Chalice of Blood. Oh man, what was that album called? Guys, you want to hear crushing fucking metal with some serious technicality? Oh my god. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, I think it was called Forbidden Evil. Yep, Forbidden Evil. What a fantastic album. If you're into metal and you've never seen it, or listened to it, I should say, hopefully you'll be able to see it well. But that's the... Fuck. You're not going to see it. I'm sorry. It's these two skulls smashing into each other. One, I guess, is good and one's bad. It's a sick fucking metal album cover, and it's late thrash. It's like 3rd generation thrash. But it's technically competent. Great band, man. Strawberries was just a record store. Just went there to buy things. The only one I would frequent was the one in North Station. We would go there anytime we went to the Garden for something. And sometimes we go to the one that's over by Roller World. There's a battery store there now, Batteries Plus. But that was just like you go in there to buy a cassette or an album. So, no, unfortunately, I mean, we did use Strawberries, but... Alex says grapes. I like grapes. Dude, I was living with a vegan. And I wanted to, like, not completely fuck with her, you know, so I bought a few things. Some things that grow in the ground, and one of them was grapes. I can eat grapes. I love grapes. And she's like, oh, that's part of the dirty dozen. I'm like, fuck you. I didn't bring a ham steak in here. I brought grapes. It's part of the dirty dozen. Vegans don't like those. The fuck out of here. Loosely Collected says, howdy. Did I miss the sex doll stuff? No. Okay, so that thumbnail. Let me finish through the comments here. A lot of hell. Alex says he's got to run. Peace. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate you coming in here. I hope you're here long enough for me to say goodbye to you. a friend of mine on Facebook, and it's an acquaintance through all of this, you know. In fact, if I remember correctly, this cat sent me he sent me a couple of alien figures a while back and a Prince Adam figure. I was working on an alien egg, and then the mold went bad because of the material I was using. I didn't realize it had sulfur in it, so all my materials and the thing itself was just junk after that because it was just covered in all this silicon, and it was fucking. I was gonna give him one of those. I kind of feel bad. I never ended up doing it because I just never ended up picking up on the project. I was gonna try again, but sometimes when ideas come in and they just they go away just as quick as they come in. But he had messaged me about John Hancock's video about using the Atari 2600 to watch, video, and I kind of knew about it. It'd been floating around for a while, but I had already seen Brian's Man Cave video, and I'll watch his videos before I'll watch Hancock's. Not because I don't like John Hancock. I still have a little bad taste in my mouth from back when he was reporting people and stuff like that. I just think he I don't know, he's a good dude. I got a friend who's like really personal friends with him. And he made a little intro video for me once a while back, and if you go back, you can find it in some of my videos, and it opens up with it. I think he said something about Atari Creep. What is this, some kind of fucking millennial or something like that? He's like, get out of here. He did that for me for an intro. For a while there, anytime anyone went to a convention, I asked him, get somebody to make fun of the Atari Creep, someone famous, please. I'll give you a few bucks. I'll PayPal you $20 for the experience. To get someone famous to go, the Atari Creep's a piece of shit. Don't watch that guy. He doesn't have any real content. He just wastes everybody's time, something like that. Roast me. But be famous within our community, of course, I'm not expecting Arnold Schwarzenegger to be like, the Atari Creep. I'll terminate you. You won't be back. Whatever. But, yeah, I don't know. I'll just leave it at that for now. I mainly just have the guitar for... Ooh. But, no, his thumbnail... Okay, I guess I have to finish explaining it. His thumbnail was one of those... And I'm just looking at this fucking thumbnail. I'm like, dude... And the actual doll itself, what that I cropped from was like the cover of like a bag that had one of those fuck dolls in it, those blowjob dolls. And I sent that to him saying, this is what I think of when I see him and Smash JT's fucking thumbnails. And I don't get Smash JT's thumbnails too often anymore because I'm not really subscribed to him. And we've already talked about that now. It's nothing personal against the guy. I just can't gobble up his style of video, In particular, and it's not because he's fighting the Miko. I don't give a shit about that. But whenever something new comes up about the Miko, he literally has like a minute's worth of information to talk about, and then he pads 20 minutes or so by recounting everything and then complaining about the same fucking thing. And it's literally like he's trying to make the same fucking video over and over again, but just using that snippet of new, peppering in truth, exaggerated truth, and in some cases falsehoods that are just opinions, But they're thumbnails, and there's a whole bunch of others, of course. I mean, it's not just them, but I know of them more, So that's where I made that while him and I were chatting. I'm like, this is gonna be my next live stream thumbnail. So, yeah, and I put the microphone there. Yeah. Surprise sex doll. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. There's like this heart that you click on. I'm sure you see it in the chat. It's blocking a few of you. My screen's real tight right now, so all I see is the surprise sex doll. Look. Unless that's all it says. Is there another word between doll and look? But yes, the surprise sex doll. Look. Why does that remind me of something that would be on Dirty Harry? Perpetually, my high E is always a little off. He says, "No, that's it. Yeah, I can see it now." The heart literally just covered up half the word doll. I thought there was a couple more words after that. My apologies, man. I'm stupid. Because of this wraparound bridge. It's compensated, but I've done everything to try to dial in just the E. The high E. But it's always like a hair off. So I gotta kind of punch chords and like barely touch the high E. Speaking of guitars loosely collected, how's that first act coming, bro? How's that? There's a guy here locally selling that exact model. It's a red one. I think he wants $50 for it. There was a guitar for $20, and I don't need another guitar. We were just talking about getting rid of a whole bunch of shit. I actually have a few of my bodies for sale online right now. The Haunted Houseburst Explorer, that's for sale, just the body. A couple others. Yeah, I saw it, and I was just like, let me see if I can find the picture. Not that you'll be able to see it, but I can at least tell you what the model was. It wasn't anything expensive. Yeah, here we go. A Lotus. It was a Lotus double cut. You know, it was missing some strings and it was dirty. But looking at all the pictures, the neck looked fine unless there was a twist. But either way, you just replace the neck. Those are a dime a dozen. But I looked them up and they have like actual brass saddles and shit. It's a really neat, odd looking guitar. I don't know why I said odd like that. But they were asking $20 for it, and it would have been 45 minutes away from me. But over the weekend, someone swooped it up. She's like, someone got to me first. Let me finish my talks with them, and then if they bail, then it's all yours. And I probably would have gotten thrashed bringing it home, but you know what? $20 guitar, you can't deny that. Okay, hold on. So I'm going to do something. I can't see the chat. You guys want to? No, never mind. I was gonna say let's go hunting for first act guitars, but there are a couple in my area that are dirt cheap. I have one right now that I'm trying to prototype an actual model with. It's called the Overload. I call it the Overlord because I kept mispronouncing that. But it's the Overload by First Act, and it's almost got kind of a Melody Maker vibe to it, like the 70s version of the double cut Melody Maker, not that weird freaky 60s fish one, the double cut. This is technically a Melody Maker too. In fact, I think Epiphone calls these Melody Makers now. When I bought it, it was called the SL for Slim. Yeah, Slim. Les Paul Slim. I love Melody Makers, and actually, I've been fantasizing about being like the Melody Maker guy on YouTube. You know, over on my other channel, of course. I've been looking at them, and you know what? You can get a 59 or 1960 Melody Maker. That's the same wood that they use for like the bursts that sell in the millions now, between 500,000 and a million, depending on whatever. Same wood and everything, same electronics, different pickups, and there's a lot less work that goes into it. You don't have a carved top or any of the fancy binding or any of that. But in some cases, you actually get a Brazilian rosewood board if that turns you on. A lot of people actually buy those to use the electronics in the fretboards, believe it or not. The fretboards for their own personal stuff, but the electronics and tuners and stuff like that for more desirable and expensive vintage instruments, because it is still period corrected. It was on the same line as your Les Paul Standard and your Les Paul Custom. They just happened to go into a Melody Maker. And the great thing about vintage Melody Makers, you don't have to feel bad for modifying them, because it's universally accepted that the single coils in those are just garbage. The 70s ones are really nice. If you get the ones that are fully covered and they say Gibson on them, they're just all black. It looks like a black piece of plastic that says Gibson on the top of them. Those are really nice for what they are. And the single coils that were in here, I wish I had kept and put in something else, because as a matter of fact, I have a guitar over there that just takes 2 single coils, and they're more centered. It's a harmony guitar. Very common harmony guitar. And I wish I had kept them to put in that, because they did have a really unique, fun sound, versus the one from the vintage Gibsons were just garbage for some reason. But yeah, the Melody Makers are great. You can get a whole bunch of them for under $2,000, under $2,000, and you get yourself a nice, well played soul. They got fucking soul in them. You can buy a guitar all day long, but you're never going to get the mojo and the soul of something that's been around for half a century and it's been out there as a road dog, or some guy's fucking couch guitar for fucking 30, 40 years, you know? There's just something to it. And I had a late 50s Les Paul Jr. in my possession in high school. And it would have been mine had we... So he let me use it because Les Pauls was starting to get famous again because of Slash. And he's like, my grandfather has a Les Paul in the closet. Would you like it, to look at it? I'm like, sure. And it turned out to be a Les Paul Jr. And I didn't have the respect for it at the time. You got to remember, I was a thrash metal guy. So I'm like, what the fuck is this P90 thing? I've seen them and heard of them, but I didn't know anything about it. And the Rap Tail Bridge and I'm like, this isn't a Les Paul. There's no binding. It isn't carved. And god damn, But I took it home and I was like, wow, you know what? There's something to this thing. But vintage collecting hadn't really blown up yet. So you could probably got one of those all day long for like $500 to $1,000. And he was like, he asked his grandfather. His grandfather's like, yeah, just take it. I'll never play it again. So I took it home for probably close to a year. And I finally asked him, do you want it back? I've had it all this time. I don't want to overstay my welcome, but I don't want to voluntarily give this to you if you don't want it back. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, let me take it back. I want to talk to my grandfather about actually making it, And that's when he asked him about it. And his grandfather says, yeah, no, it's all yours, bro. You can do whatever you want with it. Smash it for all I like you. You can. It was an old guitar that wasn't really worth anything. And then I was just like, hey, so what's up with that? He's like, you want it? I'm like, yeah, how much? He was like, $200. And we just could never get together to make it fucking happen. And then one day after we graduated, I saw it. This is like right in the middle of that time period in high school. No, it would have been junior high when I first had it. So I think I just lied to you because 87, 88. So it was about 88, 89 when I had it. So yeah, between junior high and high school. That's not important. But we separated our friend circle, so to speak, and I bumped into him at a convenience store or something. I think he was working at it. And I'm like, hey, do you still have that? He's like, yeah, dude, yeah, but here's the thing. My mom dropped a treadmill on it. One of those exercise treadmill, and snapped the headstock right. Oh, he called it the tuner part. He didn't know shit about guitars. He was just a big Aerosmith fan. And he knew they looked pretty. And my heart sunk. And I was just like, I'll still give you the $200 for it. Fuck it. You know me. I like to just fix things. I don't care. I'll put a ton of putty on it. I don't give a fuck what it looks like as long as it functions. And there's those that say that every guitar that's had a headstock repair sounds and plays better. It could be psychosomatic. It could also be because it has more mojo now. I don't know. But I would have taken it. But again, we never managed to fucking meet up. And that's been my fucking unicorn. Now, my dream guitar is to get my early 80s Explorer back. But mine was black, and my dream guitar since back then was a white one. I wanted to be James Hetfield. This was during the Master Puppets days, so... yeah, I think it was pre... Pre-Justice, somewhere in the middle there, after Cliff had died or whatever. Yeah, it would have to have been, because that's where I discovered the guitar in the Cliff 'Em All video, and that's a tribute to him after he died. Like, really started to notice that as a desirable guitar in my world. Yeah, I don't know. That's just the one that hurts my soul. Like, legit, I'm not even joking. I think about that Les Paul Jr. and I watch a lot of Les Paul Jr. videos all the time. But going back to Melody Makers, if you can get yourself an early model, they made them like this, a single cut. I just pulled the cord out. And before they made it into that freaky fish-shaped fucking thing. And they also made SG ones. And throughout, I mean, they've always been in production up until around the 2000s or so, I think, or maybe the 90s. And then in the aughts, around 2007, they reintroduced them. And I wouldn't mind having one of those Melody Makers either. You can pick those up for like $600-700 all day long. Unless you go to Reverb, where everyone fucking thinks they have gold. But, people turn those into, juniors, junior lights, and they're fucking amazing. Yeah, man, I wish I need some vintage wood. I really do. I really wish I still had that junior. I probably would have sold it by now, but I don't know. All right, so let me get back to this. Lucy says, all right, sex doll. Nah, that's it. No worries. I'm going to just as well, has been, sitting in my shop staring at me, begging me to finish it while I do other stuff. Yeah, dude, I got the Overload. I have my 7-string. The only reason the 7-string Ibanez, my fake Ibanez gem, Universe, hasn't been played is because I need to replace the bridge. The trem that came with it is garbage, and the tuners were the worst I've ever experienced. This guitar has bad tuners, but I can keep this guitar in tune. It was like every time you would try to put it in tune, internally the gears would go, ugh. So I opened it up and I tightened them down. It didn't matter what I did. I greased them. I adjusted them. They just fucking did not do their job at all. So I need to get a set of fucking tuners for it. And I want to get a new bridge, whether it be a 7-string Razor or Edge tremolo from Ibanez themselves. Because there are a couple of used ones on Reverb right now for under $100. But I really have my mind set on this Godo 7-string trem. I guess they call it Cosmic Black. We used to call it Smoked Chrome back in the day. That's what it really needs. And then from there, I'm going to... I want to make it not look like an Ibanez anymore, because it is a legit blatant copy. Looking at the headstock, if you know Ibanez, it doesn't take about a half a millisecond to be like, yeah, that's not real. And then when you look at there's a triangular inlay of abalone. Well, it's not real, obviously, but on the real guitar it would be, and it would have an eyeball in it out of mother of pearl or some other material. And mine doesn't have the eyeball, so there's signs that it's not real. The pickups themselves, they look nothing like what would have came in at the DiMaggio's. They don't have the right hex screw, pole piece, whatever you want to call them. So there's a lot about it. I want to change the look. So it has a mirrored pickguard. It has an HSH setup. My ultimate goal is to get a green mirror 2 humbucker. I don't know if I want to keep the HSH, meaning 2 humbuckers and a single coil in the middle. I don't know if I want to keep that configuration. What I want to do is I want to get a green mirror pickguard for it to keep that, because the binding and everything has abalone, and there's a lot of greens and aqua colors. So I think that would pop. And then I want to get these pickups by Fishman called like Modern Fluence or something like that. And they have a couple of different varieties, but the ones I'm talking about have like this large bar that goes down the center of both coils. I'm just really intrigued. They're called the Modern something. And there's just something about it. I mean, you would still have your normal controls, but if you pulled this one out, you would have a couple of different, you'd have a modern sound and a classic sound, more like a PAF, I guess. And then if you pull this one, of course, you can coil switch and all that stuff. And I think there was also a phase deal that you can do with it. But they're modern pickups, and I don't turn my nose to modern. It's fine. It is what it is. But and they're technically active, and I'm kind of over the EMG active bullshit. I really am. If I still had my EMG that I bought in '92, those ones are gold. Those things sound way better than what EMG is doing now. I don't know if they changed materials or factories or they're cutting corners or something, but I got that EMG 81 for like $60 in like '92. And I put it in my Kramer Beretta American in shop class, wood shop. But fucking thing sounded amazing. I kept that pickup for years. The things where the adjustment screws go in snapped off, and I just hung on to that pickup for years. I don't know where it is now, but it is what it is. But I'd like to do that to that, you know. People will know what it is, but I'll at least change it enough so people know what it isn't either. So, oh, let's see. Hey, Howard Allen, howdy, what's up, buddy? P90s are what? Is that supposed to be interesting? I love P90s, man. If you get a good sounding P90, there's just a growl and a bark to them. And if you have so you have a junior style guitar with just a one P90, and if you have the 50 style wiring, you know, I mean, you could put a volume and a tone and a capacitor in it, but I'm talking about the legit, you know, what they used. There is so much you can do with that one P90 just by fiddling with the knobs, dude. You could do something similar to it. I mean, I can do that with this guitar. I turn the knob all the way up, and you got a little bit of grit. I turn it down, and it cleans it up, you know. Turn it back up to... Ooh, that was sour. But there's just something very musical about those, man. You get the bumblebee capacitor and the right tapered pots. Beautiful, man. I love P90s. They are the shit. Absolutely, Clico Joe. What's going on, brother? So we were just, I don't know how long you've been in here, but we were talking about melody makers. I want to become the melody maker guy on YouTube. I'm just too poor for it. But I mentioned that some people take, you know, the single cut one, even the modern ones, and they turn them into like junior, so to speak. And if I remember correctly, don't you have one? I believe you did that. But P90s are fucking amazing. Hey, thanks for coming by, man. Long time no see. Yeah, they growl, and I have yet to experiment with them. Man, dude. I eventually sold it off because I do that. I enjoy things, and if I don't form an emotional or a connection here, like this guitar, it's technically garbage. I mean, it's probably 15 pieces of wood going this way, and they do slap a laminate on it so you don't see the... You know, and the neck is mahogany, but what quality of mahogany? And of course, the hardware and the electronics weren't any good. I changed the electronics, but this is one of those guitars that's kind of a go-to. You know, it just plays. It plays amazing. It sounds however it sounds, but sometimes it sounds great. But this is an example of one I probably will never get rid of. But this was it was a debutante by Daisy Rocks. It was a single cut. Go figure. Pink metallic flake, monstrous, goofy looking. It was gorgeous. I saw it on Shop Goodwill or Reverb. I got that one on Reverb for $35 plus like $25, $30 shipping or whatever. Because the bridge was pulling out. So I knew a couple of tricks to. What I ended up doing was wrapping. I took a piece of newspaper and dipped it in a little bit of Gorilla Glue, and I wrapped it around the post once and tapped it in there and cleaned it up. And what happens there is the Gorilla Glue will expand. And as long as you have weight on the post, the socket, it won't rise up as it expands, and it can only expand so far. And what that does is it gives it more rigidity so the post doesn't lean forward. It's more of a Band-Aid than anything. What you should do is plug and drill. Plug and re-drill and use a harder material for the plug itself, like an oak or a cherry or something like that, you know? I wouldn't use cherry, but if you happen to have a cherry dowel, I wouldn't use mahogany. I wouldn't use mahogany again. I would definitely use something a little bit more, you know, less porous, a lot more substance. But I put a P90 in that bad, Larry, and I only had a volume for it, but that fucking thing growled. I called it Christine because it did give me a lot of problems. It was originally a humbucker guitar. I had to adjust it to get the P90 in it. Not much. You really just have to kind of like just mill away a little bit around where the screw holes of the pickup ring go, just to get it to sit proper. I did have to get a P90 ring underneath it to raise it to meet the strings, and that's the great thing. I don't know if anyone here knows this about P90s. And I don't know if it's true about modern P90s. I can only imagine it is. But it's one of the only pickups where you benefit from it being as close to the strings as possible without hitting the strings. Because the way they're wound, they don't have the same magnetic pull on the strings that, say, a humbucker or two humbuckers would, you know? And they just sound better if you can get and that's why the pole pieces are so adjustable. The pickups themselves, unless you have a soap bar, aren't adjustable. They're really not. They just, boom, right to the fucking board, right to the body. But if you can get those pole pieces up a little bit more, you know, and you're not actually hitting the pickup with your strings when you're plucking, fucking P90s, man, they really fucking pump my nails. Oh, Howard, yeah, they growl. I've yet to experiment with them. Dude, I'm serious. Try to find yourself even a cheap one, as long as it's not a ceramic P90. If they use the word Alnico, again, it's about the quality of the material. But try to go with an Alnico 2 or 5. Gibson, and one of the things, and they say, you know, all the 50s, the golden era Gibsons, the reason they all have their own thing, because they're each one has its own heaven. It's weird. But it's because they weren't consistent with the magnets. They used all kinds of Alnicos, 2, 3s, 5, fucking 4s, you know? And sometimes they were mixed matched. And I'm talking about humbuckers and P90s and stuff. So they all would have their own like little charm, and you can't find a couple of examples that are exactly the same, and that's true with modern guitars too. But for the most part, you know what you're going to get if you just go to Guitar Center and pick a few things off the rack. There's not going to be much of a difference in charm, but until it has some play behind it, a couple of years of being a road dog or something. But yeah, there's just something magical about the P90. I don't own a P90 equipped anything right now, and I'm kind of sad about that, actually. Oh well, maybe the Universal will drop a a junior. I don't care, modern one. I'll take a fucking modern one. I don't care. I'll just pull that P90 out and put antiquities in there. But yeah, Tweet and Twanda, what's going on, man? Smoke bong, Amico strong. You gotta always poke that bear. No, I'm just fucking with you, man. I haven't smoked at all today. I'm all fucked up. I'm congested and everything. So, Clico Joe says, "Yep." Put one of those stacked ones. Oh, okay. And to tell you the truth, the cheap single coil it came with had a better tone and a very P90-esque. Oh, really? Interesting. I can see because they are a wider and they're a deeper single coil, right? Because I remember the single coils that came out of this, they probably had a good 1/4 of an inch of height compared to, and it wasn't just like the form. I mean, it was the coil. So it has bumblebees on the tone pots. I think I remember that. Yeah, if you see P90 setups, they're always set up real high close to the strings. Absolutely. They're just remarkable pickups. If you have to learn to tame them, Howard. You have to learn to tame them if you use a lot of gain. I mean, I have a little gain on. The amp itself is clean. But I have the Trick or Treat Haunted House drive pedal just to give it a little bit of. But if you really like to jam that drive, man, once you learn how to tame one of those, oh my God, such a magical experience. Especially if you're able to get up on a stage and play, and you have that wall of sound behind you, and you just hit that A chord, you just like. Tipping the table just thinking about it. Loads of feedback with P90s. Feedback's not even the word, man. They fucking squeal. They fucking hum. They pick up your local Spanish radio stations. They're wonderful in that. They're still a single coil. That's why. Gibson played around with dummy coils in guitars for that reason. As a matter of fact, there's a few guitars, and Clico Joe, if you can recall which ones, but there were some that would have the P90 here, and then somewhere over in here there would be like a pseudo coil to buck the hum, you know. So it's not a true humbucker, and like this is, it has two coils wound, you know, however they're wound, but they would still have that one single coil and like a little thing here, and sometimes they would put it underneath. And then the P100 came out, and that's basically a stacked P90. That's basically what that is. It's funny, I have all this love and knowledge for the P90. I don't have a fucking single P90 in the house to fucking... Guess I'm in a Gilmore kind of mood today. That was a very classic Gilmore resolution. But yeah, they're wonderful pickups. I wouldn't recommend a beginner getting a P90 equipped guitar, unless that's all you have. I mean, obviously play what you got, and just make it work. And sometimes that's better. Sometimes, like with like shitty consoles, like the Intellivision. No, I'm just kidding. But the Intellivision with the controller, you know, there's people who die on the hill defending that, and I'm cool with that. But they grew up with it, and that's the thing, you know. So if you're starting guitar and that's what you got, then you're going to learn to make your way. But try to get something without hum, or at least a Squier Strat, you know, nothing too high gain. Because there's a lot of little things that can happen, and it can discourage you, you know. The Overload that I have, or Overlord, or whatever the fuck it's called, I guarantee you that was for sale because someone messed up the bridge. Someone put the springs for the adjustable saddles on the outside of the bridge on the screw. And I think the dude was like, he thought he got one over on me. I don't know if he took it apart to try to fix something and just didn't pay attention to how it was, you know, the parts were removed so he could reverse the process. But the nut was all messed up. Someone had grinded the nut to the point where the first and second string were touching the fretboard. Right now I got a shim on it and I squared it off. Again, I'm prototyping something with this. I'll just let you know it's called the Juvenile Delinquent. It's going to be fucking rad. And I hope I can, you know, I'm aspiring to try to do something secretly. My lady doesn't even know about this. But I want a prototype for a guitar, make a few of them, and see if they sell. And if they sell, hopefully it can become something. If it doesn't, well, it looks like I got a couple of custom guitars I can brag about. But they are based off of that body shape because I do, again, going back to, I fucking love Melody Makers. You know, I just think they're fucking fun guitars. I mean, this thing is a little thicker than your average one. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just not rounded off as much. But there are some throughout the 80s that are, you know, squared off like this. You can just find all kinds of different ones. The American 2 series with the two single coils. Great guitar. They don't sound the greatest, but they're really fun. They're really fun guitars. There's some that were built with two humbuckers in the 80s, you know. And they would have some fun, wild colors. But, yeah, I'm prototyping a guitar that basically, hopefully, will do what I'm talking about with just one pickup. But it's going to be a tele pickup to start with. Maybe I'll do a P90 version too, but no humbuckers, no single coil. Well, I mean, I guess technically single coils, but you know what I mean, a traditional single coil shaped pickup. But I have a P90 that's an overwound 50s that was in the Explorer Esquire thing I made, and it's going to have the Edwards mod in it and everything. It's going to be a 3-way switch. If you know what that is for a single pickup, 3 switches? What are you doing with it? If you have it all the way to the back, it takes the pickup and just sends a signal directly to the jack, and you get a little bit of a boost. You know, it's not much, but you get it. Put it in the middle, and it's just a normal guitar with your tone in volume. And then you push it forward, it activates another capacitor, which gives it kind of a cocked wah sound. Whereas it used to have this thing called I think I call it a dirt circuit, or a dark circuit. I think dark circuit. And it just always sounded muddy. And it was one of those things where they just need the jazz player to emulate a neck pickup, so it basically just the sound. Whereas the Eldred mod, I think it's called, takes that capacitor, changes it to another value. In fact, I think it's 2 of them on my setup. And it gives it kind of a really nice cocked wah. And if you're a fan of Billy Gibbons, you know what I'm talking about. You ever see him playing any of his Esquires, and they have that. He's not using pedals. I'm sure he's got pedals, but you see, it's a It's a capacitor. Yep, stacked. Okay, let's see. Has the Bumblebee tone pot. We already said that. Yeah, if you see a P90 setup, they're always set up high. Yep, we did that. Oh, lots of feedback within the P90. Okay, I'm fucking dumb. I had the Mojo tone, Coleco Joe says. Silent P90 on my Mustang. Love those, but the silent kind of tames. Yeah, I think the beauty of the P90 isn't trying to quiet it down. I totally get why it exists, and you know, good for them for coming up with something like that. I don't think they sound the same at all. You're right. There's just something about its uncontrollability that gives it what it is. You know, absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. You have the Les Paul tweaked pretty smartly. Sounds great. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Looks like you got a Tron helmet in the works in the back of you. A Tron helmet over which one of my shoulders? According to your perspective. This is my left, so it would be your right, I believe. Oh, that's Mandalorian. Well, my Mandalorian helmet's over here. Oh, you're talking about this. No, this is a Phase 1. This is a Phase 1 Clone Trooper helmet. It was a Hasbro one that I closed. This was like wide open to like here. Because this was made for little kids, you know, and they had to be able to see. So I used some styrene and closed it up a little bit. And I put some custom stuff on it because I don't want it to be stock, you know. That right there is from a pepper grinder. Something very similar to, say, this. I have a bunch of them. And this right here, I don't know what's supposed to be, a gun or something like that, but this is, you know, it's a lighter. I glued a few things onto it, and I painted it, and now it looks like metal, and it just so happened that it fit the little piece that went in here perfectly. I didn't even have to adjust anything or grind anything. I just, but my Mandel helmet's over there. So yeah, no, I'm not really into Tron. I'm sorry, guys. I know there's a lot of Tron fans within our community, and rightfully so, because it's connected to everything that we're about. I never got into Tron. I haven't seen the newer movie, I should say. I think the most I like about the original, like Tron, is I do like the aesthetic, and I like the Tron Life Cycle roller coaster at Disney World. That's like a life-changing experience. But as far as the setup on this guitar, it's really simple. It's two mini humbuckers from eBay. I think they were $11. And a 500K wiring harness. Again, I don't think that was $12, $13. So there's nothing expensive in it. And I do need to elevate these pickups a little bit. There's a great distance. And the single coils had that problem too. And everybody complained about that because when you go into the neck pickup, your volume jumps dramatically. It normally does in any other case too, but in this case, like wicked dramatically. So I'm going to cut a shim for underneath this with a piece of wood. I got plenty of birch, laminated birch over here for art projects. And one of these days when I either change the string or I really want to wait until I, can get in here and do a few tweaks. But when I finally change the strings on it, I'm going to pull that up, use it as a template. And actually, I don't really need to use it as a template because I have another set of these that are going to go into a bass guitar. That's what they were originally bought for, but we mistakenly got two. Or I got two. So. Howard says, that's dope. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Mattel had a huge Tron collection. I know. Oh, I know. There's a lot of great stuff. When we were at Disney last time, again, Tron Cycle, highly recommend it. They had a lot of like Tron stuff, and like they had the arcade sign. Oh my God, what was the name of the arcade? You guys can beat me up for this one. I don't care. That's fine. I'll take it. I couldn't get into it. I watched it when I was a kid. It just never did anything for me. It was on, so I watched it, kind of deal. Was it? It's not Tim's Arcade. Flynn's Arcade. I was close. Tim, Flynn. Oh, I should know that because out here in Boston we have an expression. You do this, do that, and you'll be in like Flynn. Whoever the fuck Flynn was. Another Irish fucking drunk somewhere. I bet. Tron and Blade Runner's aesthetic. I love Blade Runner. Oh my god. And you know what? I don't care who fucking doesn't like this. I think 2049 is a better movie than the original Blade Runner. I really do. I don't care what version of the original you watch. Whether it be the original with the stupid narration. I kind of miss the narration. My copy doesn't have it. Mine's like the Ultimate Director's Cut or something like that. And it's on a cheap DVD, so it's not like it was a special package or anything. But yeah, they had the disc, and they had this really cool package where you can get an action figure with your face and voice. It was on a cheap digital screen, and it looked like crap. It almost looked like... You remember the camera on the Game Boy? It still looked like that. I mean, there's only so much you can do, but the action figure was like $80 or $90. But there was like a package for like $200 where you can get this backpack that the disc can connect to, and you'd have the action figure, and they all connected one way or another. It was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. But I just wasn't into it enough. If I had extra money, I was going to buy a Flynn arcade sign. It was like a nice box. It looked like an arcade marquee inside of a box with a light. A little cheaper in quality. It was plastic with a print on it, but it was nice enough. And it was only $75. I wanted to buy one of those and send it down to Willie. Arcade USA, because he's a big Tron fan. And he's just another cat that's been really good to me over the years. Like our friend Clico Joe, who's joining us today. And it's funny, Clico, that you came in, because I was telling everyone earlier, I was originally going to play a game and do one of those, I'm not very good at it, but let's see if we can't get better. That kind of thing. No, let's play a game I suck at, or do an angry video game nerd thing. But Laser Blast on Atari, I was going to do that, but the little guns, when they do this, they look just like, and I hope you get a kick out of this if you're still here. And yes, I do still have it. And I have the thing I printed for you, too. My cock award. My cock and balls. I hope I don't get struck for this one, but my buddy Clico Joe on his resin printer printed me an award that's shaped like cock and balls. And the gun tourist reminded me of that. What is written on here? I can't see because of the light, not because I can't read it. My glasses are pretty good, but it says number 1 or something like that, or first place dick face or something. I don't know. Clico Joe's pretty funny that way. He likes to break balls, and I break balls with him too. But yeah, that reminded me of the game. I was playing it earlier. I'll keep that there for the video. Alright, let's get through a few more comments here and finish my coffee. I might take off here soon, guys. Let's see. Cheryl says, I want to ride Tron again, but doubt it will happen when I'm there in 10 days. Why? Don't you have time to yourself? Oh, are they still on that thing where you have to sign up and you get whatever time slot? That might be a little tough to do when you're there as a fucking chaperone. Oh, same with Guardians. Fuck the Guardians of the Galaxy. That roller coaster is just way too much. It's not scary. It's nauseating. I mean, it does all the normal roller coaster stuff except for loops and corkscrews. But the cars also spin around, not necessarily, loosely or anything like that. They have almost like the Omni Mover, it turns when the tracks tell it to turn, or the Doom Buggies. But that fucking ride is just, it's just too much, man. And maybe I was just overheated and nauseous. But yeah, going back to, Tron and Blade Runner, I actually have, this model kit is from Space 1999. I mean, the odd thing is the car itself is not actually from the movie. Let me get the box here. Or the TV show. It's just something they fucking cooked up in their mind. And I really, I don't know. I like the show and I like the ship, but it was a model kit I got for $5. So here's the box. And I have an Atari here that we've been talking about a long time that I replaced the button with the 3D printed switch tip. And it eventually broke when it fell, and another one broke. So I'm like, what can I do for a custom Atari console that would be cool? And the only aesthetic I thought of was Blade Runner, and everyone else agreed with me. I don't know if you remember, but I put that out there on my community tab, saying, when you think of Atari, it was a short. When you hear the name Atari, what non-gaming thing comes to mind first? And of course, Blade Runner is one of the things in Tron, but I think Blade Runner won, not only in that but in other places. So I'm like, what if I removed the flat part, the ribbed part of the Atari 2600, and made the console like a scene from Blade Runner with the cities and everything, and just move the switches. I'll just get generic switches that don't look like the Atari one, and then I built this as one of their spinner vehicles. Obviously it's not done yet, so I'm kind of fabricating it. These right here are fabrications. It would have stopped here. And it had these giant bulbous wheels, stupid looking thing. So that's what this is all about. But it's funny, we're talking about Blade Runner, and I got a curved, it needs a lot of work. It needs blending, it needs shaping. But that's the beginning of it. There's the rims underneath. This is from, these here are from a Transformer. Yeah, actually it's right here. We did this one on the channel, too. It was one of those can I do it situations. Oh, what just fell? I don't know. But I have a whole bag of toys that somebody randomly gave me locally. And he says, turn these into toys and action figures and stuff. And this is one of the things that came in it. So I'll cut a few things off of this to add to this thing here. And it'll eventually go back in my Greebly box. I love Blade Runner. Remember when we did the Deckard's Blaster on the channel over the course of like 4 or 5 videos? That was fun. I was doing it side by side with my buddy Mike of Irmo Custom Models. Mike Solo, as he calls himself. Let's see. Loosely says, I know there was a set of files you could buy to 3D print the Flynn sign. Oh, I'm sure there was 100 of them. Absolutely. And Cheryl says, yep, I'm assuming you're talking about the whole being a chaperone and having to do the stupid thing in the morning to get your time slot. It's fucking annoying. I'm getting so tired of Disney. I'm actually going to stop being like, fuck Disney. Paying, you pay hundreds and thousands of dollars, not literally hundreds of thousands, but hundreds and thousands of dollars just to fucking go to this goddamn park with your fucking family. And, I mean, the food gouging and the souvenir gouging is just expected, but it's like, didn't they have the fucking balls to be like, you have to pay $20, $30 to go on this ride if you ever want to get a spot to get, fuck you. And you know what pisses me off about shit like that? Is if everybody just said no. If everybody got rid of their fucking need, their incessant fucking need to Disney, and they said no, guess what Disney's going to do? Well, they're probably going to get rid of the ride, but no, seriously though. They're not going to fucking do it. I mean, look at the Star Cruiser. I mean, that failed because it was ridiculously priced. It priced out of almost everybody, except for, people who can afford that. Too nice for, like, what was it, $4,000 or something like that? Fucking ridiculous. But if everybody just said no, we're not going to do that. We already paid to get into the fucking park. Fuck you. We're going to get in line, and you're going to regulate this. You're one of the largest corporate conglomerations on the fucking planet, and you can't figure out fucking line times? Shut the fuck up. So, Cheryl, I'm getting tired of Disney. Galaxy's Edge is okay, though. Plus the Haunted Mansion rules. Plus you have to have a reservation. Yeah, Disney Experience app. The reservation thing I don't mind, honestly. Because, I mean, there are newer rides, I remember Rise of the Resistance. That was impossible to get on. I mean, we were lucky to get on it once. But I also believe that was because there's something smart in the system that knows you haven't done it yet, I think. And it will give you at least one go during your trip. I just don't know which day. It just doesn't know what day. So I would hope Disney would be creative enough to put something like that in there. But I don't mind that if the ride has a very unusual amount of traffic, especially for a new attraction. And Tron is probably still considered a fairly new attraction. So, under a year old, right? Maybe just over a year, Cheryl. You tell me, you're the fucking Disney cat. Another time, and hopefully by then, it'll be standby, regular line. Yeah, I don't mind the Disney app thing and it being fair for people to at least experience it. Would I've liked to go on Tron multiple times? Absolutely. That was one of those rides where I would have just went right back in the line if we were able to, but we weren't, and that sucked. And that's bullshit. That fucking mouse put a right in that mousy head, and I'll bang this girl. Yeah, I wish people were smart enough as a group to say no. And I think that in politics too, How many times on fucking Facebook have you been like, there needs to be term limits in Congress? These people have been in there 40 years, are out of touch, which is true. I mean, some dude from the 60s can't identify with cats from the 2020s, It's just not possible. But nobody does anything about it. Everyone wants to complain, but I'm more than willing to join a group of fucking hundreds and thousands of people to go down to the fucking Capitol and say enough is enough with whatever it is that's injustice or robbery, usury as they used to call it. You used to go to jail for that. You used to get a big fine for usury. But until the American people stand up and say no at Disney, nothing's going to change, and it's just going to continue. It's going to continue further. Makes no sense to me. Where the fuck did America's balls go? And I'm not talking like soft people now. I mean, I guess I am, but not in. I'm talking about when it comes to managing our government, because the government's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be an authority figure. It's not. And the great thing about the Constitution and the amendments is they knew that then. They knew that 2024 was going to be considerably different than 1776. So they put a bunch of clauses in there to say we can alter and change things. And then there's this little thing called the Amendment 2, I'm not going to say the full thing, that says if your government becomes a problem and they're not doing the will of the people, you are allowed to have arms for that specific reason. That's what the Second Amendment is legit all about. There was not a single motherfucker skeet shooting back then. There wasn't any kind of, there was hunting, but it was like legit hunting for food. It wasn't like, it's deer season, They just took on the greatest power on the fucking planet. And here we are on fucking Facebook in 2024. Saying all these things that are wrong, but not doing a damn thing about it. It's a fucking shame. And I'm not trying to be like, everyone's soft and, everyone has to man up and masculinity and all that shit. There's a purpose for all kinds in the world. There really is. But don't fucking complain to me if you're not willing to do something about it, I complain about things that I can't do anything about. And I complain about things I can do things about. But I'm talking about like on a big scale like at Disney, $20 ticket to go on a ride after you've spent $200 to get in the fucking park, $12,000 on the fucking flight and the ride to the park, and then you get the room and the food and the fucking this and that, and the kid always wants the fucking stuffed animal, and they won't shut up about it, and it's just like vacations aren't vacations, They're investments that go nowhere. You invest a whole lot of money, you have a little bit of fun, and you have nothing to really show for it except for crap cluttering your house in a fucking deficit in your bank account. And you get all these fucking nitwits. And Cheryl, I'm sorry, you follow all of them. And I'm talking about Adam the Woos too. But every one of these fucking stupid Disney dickheads. I like a lot of their channels, I like Ordinary Adventures. I like, what's the one with that couple? They had the baby. Oh my God. He is always doing the Han Solo thing. Oh man, I forget their name, but you know they just ignore it because it's content, and it's like all these people just go in there mindlessly. I'm going on YouTube right now to pray to God that I have a notification from them. I think it's Always Believe. Always Believe is the name of the channel. They are very Disney centric, mostly Star Wars Disney. Park, movies. I mean, this guy, he's just one of those people who just generally loves all things Star Wars, you know. He may not think everything is good, but it doesn't bother him that Star Wars keeps coming out. And that's cool. I wish I could be a little bit more like that, but I am to a degree. I enjoy something about everything in the Star Wars universe, so I can watch the sequel trilogies and get something positive out of it, especially The Force Awakens. And I thought The Rise of Skywalker was a great movie if that was spread across at least the second two, you know? There was a lot of really rad ideas in there. But, yeah, that horse has been fucking beat to death. Heading to work. Later, taters. Yeah, Loosely, man. You have a great shift, man. Be safe. Originally, you bought tickets for the park. Then you bought a ride book? Then there were letters. Oh, I think I remember you talking about that shit. No. Tickets are for carnivals because you don't have to pay to get in. That's what that's all about. You go to a carnival, you don't pay to get in. At least any carnival I've ever been to. And I'm not talking about state fairs and stuff. I'm talking about a carnival. You know, a bunch of shady fucks in some equipment just show up to a space. They build it, they're there for a weekend or a week, and then they fucking disappear after impregnating all the neighborhood and giving them all herpes. And selling them all bad drugs. You had to buy tickets for that because how else are they going to make money? You don't tell me Disney's hurting. You can't tell me fucking Disney's hurting. Look at everything they own. Yeah, they're collapsing almost all of it, but you know what? You can't tell me they're still not making billions upon billions. I'm pretty sure they can get away with fucking a couple of people not paying $20 to get on the fucking Tron cycle or whatever, you know? And I think I'm at that point where Disney can suck a fart right out of my rectum. Like the Carnival at the Knoll. Yeah, the Fireman's Carnival. Yeah. I was thinking about that earlier today because I saw some activity behind the National Guard Armory over by where Friendly's used to be. Because for a while it was there, I think. I'm pretty sure it was there for a while, and then it moved to Wakefield. But yeah, that's that. All right, guys, I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it done. I got to blow my nose and take some medicine, and I really haven't had lunch either. I didn't eat breakfast. I slept all morning. I feel like shit, but... Guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Clico Joe, if you're still here, man, good to see you, man. So, you know, pop into the Facebook and let's chitter chatter. Well, since we were talking about politics briefly, I don't think I asked President Predicto a single question, so let me ask his opinion on the stream. Presidential Predicto, was this a quality live stream in your opinion, sir?
Yes, but let's see what happens.
Yes, but let's see what happens. That's too bad because we're going away. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. It's one of those things that senses your hand, your biomechanicals or something like that. But alright, guys, thanks for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. Wherever in the world you are, I hope you're fucking doing well. Until next time, take care. Creep it real. This might be my last stream.